So I got to talk a little bit about my perspective on remasters and remakes now that I've played through the Oblivion Remastered edition because of how many new players I have seen coming into the franchise. I've seen so many new people on my videos and in the streams and on the guides, and then I've been seeing a lot of clips from the Dropped Frames episode that those guys did, talking about the same thing about how many new people are getting to experience Oblivion for the first time. Because this is a 20-year-old game that is now back in the spotlight because of this remastered edition. And it's ironic because maybe about 6 months ago here on my channel, we had a discussion about remasters and remakes and my stance at the time, and I still think it's roughly the same, but I have some new perspective now because of this. My stance in that video was that I don't really like it when companies focus on remasters and remakes because I personally prefer to play new things. That is still true. I much prefer companies to focus on new intellectual properties or new entries into existing intellectual properties. Like Avowed. Great game. Loved Avowed. I want more Pillars of Eternity stuff, right? I want Elder Scrolls 6. I want the next Fallout game. I want more Star Wars games. I am, it's one of those things where I would prefer Knights of the Old Republic 3 as opposed to a remake of Knights of the Old Republic 1, but I'm totally going to play the shit out of the remaster slash remake whenever it comes out. I believe Saber Interactive is the one working on that. Anyway, um, what's interesting about this remaster is that Bethesda wasn't the company doing the work. They outsourced it to someone else. And that has sort of put a new spin and a new perspective on my take on remasters because in this case, Bethesda's not doing any of the heavy lifting. They're still keeping their teams oriented on working on more Starfield content and Elder Scrolls 6, but then they farmed this remaster out to a third party. And I actually think that that's a pretty smart thing to do. And I kind of look at that and go, okay, if more companies had the financial wherewithal to make this happen, I could actually get behind remastering and remaking more older games. I just still prefer that the companies keep their primary focus on giving us new entries into beloved IPs as opposed to continually serving up remasters. It's kind of like we've talked about this before, and I may even have said this in the other video. It's like Superman and Batman, right? No matter how many times you make a Superman movie or a Batman movie, it's gonna be same thing with Spider-Man. Like it's gonna be the same story every time. Batman has a very limited story arc, right? We know the story. Mom and dad die, he becomes an orphan, goes on to become Batman. Oh, he has enemies. The Joker, the Riddler, blah 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 blah. Superman, Kryptonite, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, blah. Like Peter Parker, Mary, Aunt, whatever her name is, Uncle Ben. Like they have set character arcs, set story arcs, and no matter how many times we rehash those stories, it's just kind of like, yes, we get new perspectives every time. We get new Batman actors. We can say, yeah, Christian Bale's the best. No, Michael Keaton's the best. No, Val Kilmer was the best. No, whatever. Like, I personally would prefer just, you know, moving on and doing interesting new things with those characters. But be that as it may. Um, in the case of Oblivion, it was such a huge game for the time, and they waited so long between, it's 20 years. Whereas I could definitely see the perspective on something like, because I'm also playing this at the same time, the Days Gone remaster, because it's only been 6 or 7 years since that game was launched. And I could look at that and go, okay, I played that game on the PS4, right? So playing it on the PS5 now, it's definitely got better graphics. It looks better. It's got some new gameplay modes. But I kind of feel like Ben Studios would, and again, they're not the ones who make the calls. PlayStation owns them and they're on the payroll. Um, you know, they would be much better served producing a new game in that franchise, as opposed to just rehashing the graphics and adding a couple of new game modes 6 years after the fact. Like, I feel like that could have better been marketed as a DLC as opposed to a remaster, even though they did add some new game modes. Whereas looking at what Obsidian, looking at what Bethesda did with Elder Scrolls 4 with the Oblivion game here, it's a little different because it's been 20 years. And then also looking at what they're doing with Knights of the Old Republic, where they are rebuilding that game from the ground up in a remake, not a remaster. So this is an interesting one because they used the same game engine and pretty much everything is still there from Oblivion, but they reskinned it in Unreal 5 and just sort of dropped that on top as like a transmog, as a reskin. And they did tweak a few things, but they can't tweak too much because it's still running on the engine that Oblivion is running on. So it's weird. The point I want to get at is, I don't know how many people have played it, but I know like within the first week, they had posted something that like more than 4 million players had hopped into and played the Oblivion Remaster. And I have no idea what those numbers are at now because it's been out for a few weeks. But I do know that traffic continues to be very good on all of these videos. And there are still a lot of people playing this game and will be for months to come because there's so much content here and it's been redone. And for many players who have never played this game before, they're setting out on an adventure that's going to last them hundreds of hours. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand, because they're going to do 2 or 3 or 4 playthroughs. And that is not a bad thing for Elder Scrolls and Bethesda as a whole, and people who are fans of RPGs, because you have a whole new generation of players. I'm in my 40s, right? But there are people now who are in their 20s who were like 3 years old or 5 years old when this game came out and they never got to play it. But then maybe they played the Skyrim Anniversary Edition a few years ago, or maybe they played Starfield, or maybe they played Fallout 76 or something and was like, oh, wait, Bethesda makes other games? Oh, I want to check this out. Oh, the graphics look really old. And then all of a sudden, here's the remade edition. Oh, that actually looks really good. I want to go try this. I saw Shroud playing the Obsidian Remastered, and he was standing in front of one of the gates, and he was like, "This is cinema," and I was like, "You're not wrong. Like, the remaster looks really, really, really good." And I think that's the interesting thing, is that this particular remaster has brought, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands to millions of new players into the franchise, and that is never a bad thing because Elder Scrolls is a great franchise. All of the entries are fun. I anticipate that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be as fun as all the previous entries. I am not someone who hates on Bethesda. I don't have a Bethesda. I don't have a um, I don't have a Todd candle in my office that I light to mock him. I like his games. I like Bethesda games. I've always loved Bethesda games. I will continue to play them until I'm dead. Um, and it's one of those things where I'm happy to play whatever they produce. I would prefer that they work on new IPs, but I gotta admit that if they could farm out a Morrowind remake to a reputable company, I would play the shit out of that. I know it's rumored that a Fallout 3 remaster slash remake is in the works. I would happily play the shit out of that because that was a really fun. I remember playing that and being like, Liam Neeson is in this game. What? But I don't remember the story very well. It's been years ago now since I've played that. So that's another thing where it's been 20 years or so. When it's been that long, even I'm happy to jump back and play those games because my memories of those games are so, in the past. Like a new version of Fallout New Vegas with better graphics in Unreal 5? Fuck yeah, I'd play that. Like, yeah, so, you know, my perspective has shifted a little bit on remasters and remakes because of the way they did this and how it's been received and how many new players have come into the fold. And I think if more companies did it this way, I think it would be a better way to do it than rather than have the main studio do it. Like, farm it out to third-person studios and let them take care of it while the main studios continue to work on new entries into the franchise. But also, don't do it for games that have only been out for 6 years, 7 years. Maybe I would say maybe not even 10 years. Like, wait, if it's been 10 plus years, I think maybe we're in remake remaster territory, but not for things that have only been out for 6 or 7 years. Like, let's give them a decade or more to breathe. Those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear more from you guys on this because I think it's a fascinating conversation, and we'll probably talk about it some more in one of the upcoming live streams, which happen every single day at 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. So hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe and happy gaming, everybody. Cheers.